Hello everyone, welcome to Faithfully Bound. In this video, I would like to do a Bible study with you on Job chapter 3.
Hey y'all, don't forget to like and subscribe.
In the description below this video will be a link to the studies that I did on Job chapter 1 and Job chapter 2, as well as Bible study guides for those chapters and for chapter 3. At last Job spoke. He cursed the day of his birth. He said, "Let the day of my birth be erased, and the night I was conceived. Let the day be turned to darkness. Let it be lost even to God on high, and let no light shine on it. Let the darkness and utter gloom claim that day for its own. Let a black cloud overshadow it, and let the darkness terrify it. Let that night be blotted off the calendar, never again to be counted among the days of the year, never again to appear among the months. Let that night be childless, let it have no joy. Let those who are experts at cursing, whose cursing could rouse Leviathan, curse that day. Let its morning stars remain dark. Let it hope for light, but in vain may it never see the morning light. Curse that day for failing to shut my mother's womb, for letting me be born to see all this trouble. Why wasn't I born dead? Why didn't I die as I came from the womb? Why was I laid on my mother's lap? Why did she nurse me at her breast? Had I died at birth, I would now be at peace. I would be asleep and at rest. I would rest with the world's kings and prime ministers, whose great buildings now lie in ruins. I would rest with the princes, rich in gold, whose palaces were filled with silver. Why wasn't I buried like a stillborn child, like a baby who never lives to see the light? For in death the wicked cause no trouble, and the weary are at rest. Even captives are at ease in death, with no guards to curse them. Rich and poor are both there, and the slave is free from his master. Oh, why give light to those in misery, and life to those who are bitter? They long for death, and it won't come. They search for death more eagerly than for hidden treasure. They are filled with joy when they finally die, and rejoice when they find the grave. Why is life given to those with no future, those God has surrounded with difficulties? I cannot eat for sighing. My groans pour out like water. What I always feared has happened to me. What I dreaded has come true. I have no peace, no quietness. I have no rest. Only trouble comes."
In this chapter, Job voices his anguish, expressing his desire to have never been born and longing for death as a release from his suffering. Job 3, 1 through 3. Job opens his mouth, a Hebrew idiom for lamenting, and he curses the day of his birth, wishing oblivion instead of life. This extreme expression reflects his overwhelming pain and the feeling that existence itself is now a burden. Job 3, 4 through 6. He yearns for the darkness of the womb, a non-existent state, often portrayed as peaceful in ancient thought. He wishes the night of his conception had brought death instead of life. Job 3, 7 through 10. Job questions why he even lived to see the light of day and wishes he had perished alongside stillborn babies. He longs for the quiet rest of the grave, untouched by pain and suffering. Job 3, 11 through 13. He envies those who find comfort in death, questioning why he wasn't granted the same fate. He longs for ceasing to exist, yearning for escape from his misery. Job's lamenting reflects the profound depths of his emotional and spiritual anguish. His words reveal the intense suffering he is experiencing, leading him to wish for oblivion rather than continuing to endure his pain. Job chapter 3 provides a raw and deeply emotional portrayal of human suffering and the depths of despair. It offers insight into the psychological and emotional toll that prolonged suffering can exact on a person's spirit. Job 14 through 26. He desires the same restful oblivion of kings and nobles of the past. He sees death as a heaven from his suffering. He longs for the sleep that he can escape from his waking nightmare. And he describes his life as filled with sighs and groans, haunted by his fears. He desperately desires quiet and rest, even if it means death. Is there a glimmer of hope in verses 27 through 37? Job 3:31 through 33. A subtle shift occurs. Job acknowledges that God's hand could bring relief, implying a faint hope amidst his despair. He desires God's intervention, even if it means death. Job 3:34 through 37. He recounts the comfort of his friends offered in the past, contrasting it with their current silence and unhelpful platitudes. He desires genuine understanding and empathy in his time of need. I definitely cannot compare any loss or suffering in my life to Job's, but I can say that I did relate to Job's lamenting in chapter 3. I've been through things in my life that have been very painful, especially in the last several years, and I felt like my heart could have been just completely ripped out of my chest. The emotional pain resonated through my body like physical pain. And so reading Job's first speech in chapter 3 really touched me. And it made me feel for Job. It made me look at him in a way that I've not looked at him before. None of the information that I had been given throughout my life really dug into Job. It was very, very topical. So reading it and studying it for myself as an adult really hit me. And I was just kind of surprised that nobody digs into this the way that we should. It's just given as a topical thing, just kind of like Noah's Ark, you know? But there is so much to this book. I am enjoying this study. I cannot wait to do more. I really want to pick this apart and learn as much as I can. The way Job expresses his anguish, it is just such on a personal level. We really have been given a look into Job's life and his pain. And being able to have just a seat in the heavenly court, so to speak,